Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 315. I'm Ben, and here with me today are the beautiful boys, as always. The long-standing, well-known, giant fan of the Texas Longhorns, the most glorious ginger, Brandon Duncan. Hello.
OG.
Brandon, we all know how big of a sports fan you are.
I know, dude. I busted this out of the closet. This, I probably got this in the year 2007. So I've had it for a very, very long time.
But when you say very, very long time, about the year after I graduated from high school, it doesn't make me feel young.
I had this for just an ungodly, unfathomably large amount of ages. Yeah, what's up? I am a Texas Longhorns fan. I think this is what they do.
Can you explain to me what sport they play?
Dude, this is football, bro. Come on.
Well,
Just
it's
wanted
a
to make
university team. So
It's a university, yeah.
Sports.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Good question.
Were you at some point a sports fan? Because I know you're really not now.
I think it was like a trendy thing that I did for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back as like a youth.
A youth.
Yeah, back as a youth. I like
The more you know.
Longhorns. And I would play them a lot on like NCAA, like back on my PSP.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. I don't know that I ever watched a game. But
I was going to ask that next, actually.
yeah.
I know that there's a lot of things I became a fan of because of video games. One was skateboarding. I never cared about skateboarding at all, and I played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and then I started watching skating and X Games and got my own skateboard and, you know, tried to not break my neck at every possible moment. But sports I was already into by that point, but yeah.
Go Sports.
Dave, an actual real fan of sports. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. You're looking nice. You're looking good.
Yeah, exciting night in sports. The Four Nations face-off starts tonight. Canada and Sweden. Of course, Brandon, you knew that.
Yeah, dude.
I think there's a problem in pro sports right now where nobody really knows what to do with the All-Star game because everyone's realized how poor of a product it is. So the NHL, being the Canadian pioneers that they are, decided that instead of having an All-Star game, I think they were going to have like a mid-season tournament that people would actually want to watch. So that starts tonight, and it's going to be good hockey, I think.
Yeah, it should be. I probably won't. I probably won't actually watch it if I'm being real, because I'm just and not in the mood. But it is exciting when they try new things.
Yeah.
Even though I don't always like them.
Yeah, and Canada plays the States on Saturday night, so that'd be if you're looking for something to put on the background on Saturday night, then it'll be a good one.
This whole is that Valentine's Day?
That's
No,
the
that's
day after
Friday.
Valentine's
Oh,
Day.
Saturday's clear then. Saturday's fine. As if Friday weren't. I'm married. You don't really do Valentine's Day when you're married, right? That's how that works. That's how you stay married too.
You got it.
Just well, welcome on in, everybody. This is the HP Podcast. We talk about video games and sometimes hockey. Brandon usually talks about the Longhorns. He's very well known for that. So,
Hey, Brandon, do you know who the Longhorns super fan is?
Who?
You don't know? He's a celebrity. He's like synonymous with the Texas Longhorns. Do you know who it is, Ben? Don't say it if you do.
I don't, dude. The Rock? I don't know.
No. I'll give you a hint. Well, I'll give you 3 hints. All right.
Matthew McConaughey. He is from
Yeah.
Texas, right?
Yeah, he's a big
But there's
Longhorns
two.
fan.
But there's 2 teams because there's A&M as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow. I'm honestly flabbergasted you pulled out that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I shouldn't be.
dude, I've played a lot of football games actually. So like, I've played way more football games than I've watched of football. So
Yeah. That I can't say the same, but that's a valid reason to know about football.
And I think the college games are actually better. I think they're more fun than the.
I used to follow baseball some, but really the only reason I ever knew any rosters was playing the show.
And you were a baseball card guy for a bit, weren't you?
I was
Or
a
is it
baseball
hockey
card guy.
cards?
Yeah, you're right. But I mostly collected cards older than current until I actually was into baseball for a little while. Now I'm not into baseball again. It was a fad.
Right.
But yeah, I probably knew more players who had retired and were in the Hall of Fame just because of having their cards than I ever knew of current players during that time.
Right.
They should make baseball more interesting. I think I complained about this the other day as well.
They have made it more interesting.
They added a pitch clock for you, Brandon. So they're expecting you to watch this year.
Make it quicker. It needs to be like full contact or something. Like it should not be a foul. If you could like manage to peg someone with the ball, that should still be an out, I think. Like you shouldn't have to touch them. If you can manage to whale them with that tiny ball, I feel like, they got head protection on. That's enough.
One of the most heinous things you can do in baseball is kick dirt on someone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's because no. I'm not even going to say what I'm about to say about that. That's some soft shit. That all American pastime, my ass. That's soft shit. IMO. Go Longhorns.
if you'd like to help provide money for Brandon to buy more Longhorns merch, which we don't actually take money from the show, it just pays our bills, but you can support us on patreon.com/handsomephantom. It's kind of like you're paying us because it just means it's money we don't have to take out of our pockets in order to pay the bills. So go ahead and do that. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month to help support the boys if you like. You get the show ad-free and early if you're on audio feeds, which many of you are. And otherwise, you can just do it to support us. There's a lot of people in there, way over the offerings we have. You can also hang out with us on Discord at handsomephantom.com/Discord. There's lots of you hanging out in there talking. Today's been a busy day in there. I haven't been able to really fully keep track, but seems like a lot of people are chatting. So, or a couple people are chatting a lot. It's one of the two. I think it usually goes one of the two ways in Discord. A lot of people chatting a little, or just like 2 or 3 people never shutting up. Which would you prefer?
I like both.
It's been pretty degenerate this week, and it started early on Monday morning. I may have been part of the cause of that, but
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of degens in Discord. So if you're into that kind of thing, hit us up.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Quick announcement from me, as many of you who are in the Discord know, or who, maybe on Twitter or something like that. I started a new job this week. I'm working for a company called Indie.io, and Indie.io publishes and provides a lot of different types of support, QA, marketing, all that kind of stuff for games. They essentially act as a publisher without all the scummy deals that big publishers do, right? So I'll be working for them. We normally discuss industry news and things like that, but just for clarification, if anything were to come up that would be a conflict of interest or something I would know about through work or something like that, I won't discuss it. Or if I do, I'll have to do it in very certain terms and disclose that. But I don't expect it to ever be a real issue or an actual conflict because, again, we're discussing larger industry trends generally. So this may be the last time I ever mention it, but just wanted to throw it out there so that it has been... That way somebody can't come back to me in like a year. I can go back to this and be like, look, I said it one time a year ago. So that's that.
Can I ask a question, Ben?
No, you can't. That's conflict of interest.
Did you play Grand Theft Auto 6 on your first day behind closed doors?
I platinumed it, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
bastard.
Is
Yeah.
it terrible?
It's not done, so yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, Indie.io has actually taken over QA for Rockstar. If you didn't know.
Shit, dude.
Industry shattering news right there. Man, I imagine Rockstar's QA team is like many magnitudes larger the size of the entire staff of the company I'm working for now.
Mm-hmm.
Just their like playtesters are probably a massive amount of people.
And they have to stay in like housing and never leave until the game releases to prevent leaks.
I don't think that's actually true, but it's pretty close to true from what I understand. Talking to the people who worked there in the past, yeah.
When
like-
Rockstar, when we went into lockdown for COVID-19, Rockstar devs were like, I don't see the big deal.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, y'all are bitching. This is my life. Okay.
I haven't seen the sun in months. A couple comments in chat here. Oh, just people talking about games we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Actually, we're going to talk about them right now. That's a good segue into the state of play recap. Guys, how do you want to approach this? Do you want to go down one by one and talk about the state of play in general? I will be transparent. I did not get done with work until just right before the show, so I didn't get to watch it, but I did get to check out a few trailers and peep a few things as well. But do you guys want to go down and talk about each thing, or do you want to give some high-level thoughts and then pull out specific games? How do you want to tackle this?
Probably the latter there
The latter.
for me, yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Brandon, did you get a chance to watch the show?
I did from start to finish.
What did you think overall?
I sleep.
You sleep.
That's what I think I sleep. I'm that Shaq meme. I sleep. No, it was fine. I did post on Twitter that if Bloodborne Remastered got announced, that I'd post my meat on the timeline. So I was a little bit worried.
I'm very glad it didn't get announced then. I'm very glad.
Sorry to my few followers, to disappoint you this evening twice.
Well, you would have
Like,
probably disappointed them either way. So
I know, and I originally planned just a soft photo, so that way I can anyway. The showcase was fine. I think I had high hopes for it only because it was a 40-minute show, and that 40 minutes kind of flew by. Like at the end, I was like, oh, not that it was awful. I did see some stuff I really liked, but I think it was my own fault, not the showcase's fault. So I want to be transparent about that. I don't think it was a bad showcase. I think I came into it with the wrong expectations.
what were your expectations, Brandon?
I don't know. There was a lot of stuff circulating as usual. I mean, the typical Bloodborne rumors. We talked a couple weeks ago about the 60 frames per second mod getting DMCA'd and the demake getting DMCA'd. So that kind of unfortunately got me a little bit excited because it seemed like too much of a coincidence and too quickly after that happening to maybe spark some intrigue, some serious intrigue into Bloodborne. And I also saw a ton of God of War Saga rumors circulating. And obviously, like, Twitter's an echo chamber. So, like, once it starts going around, obviously, it just keeps bouncing and getting louder. But the prospect of that was really cool to me because those are my, some of my favorite games of all time. So I was kind of hoping for something a little bit bigger, and we'll talk about the biggest news that I think was of the show later, which is still huge and is still really cool. Sony first party stuff. But yeah, overall, I guess the show was a little bit disappointing, but not by its own volition, by my marred expectation coming into the show itself. So
I find that most of our problems in life are due to too much expectation.
yeah, just expect nothing all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Dave, how about you? What do you think of the show overall?
Yeah, to echo what Brandon said, I really need to stop guessing what we're going to see based on rumors that are swirling around because it almost never comes to fruition. There's been stuff about like Resident Evil floating around. There was the Bloodborne stuff we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and those were all wrong. But the one thing I was certain we were going to see was Ghost of Yotei, and sure enough, nothing. So I'm just going to shut my brain off next time these happen and just kind of watch and enjoy. Not that I was disappointed, but yeah, I think overall, nothing earth-shattering for me, but I was pretty happy to see that pretty much everything we saw was a gameplay first game where it's all about fun and good games. There was no real games as a service stuff. It was just good stuff. And I hope this is a sign that you know, the big players in the industry are starting to see that we don't want more of this. We already have enough of it and just go back to the basics. So, yeah, I was happy to see that. I also feel like we're getting a renaissance of like action hack and slash games all of a sudden because I don't know, it feels like there was like 3 or 4 of those games in there, and then you combine that with like Ninja Gaiden kind of making a comeback a couple weeks ago, and yeah, it kind of feels like that DMC style game with like a little bit of like Souls like is really starting to become popular again. So I'm happy to see that. And then I've said this a lot about a lot of the showcases we've gotten lately, but this is a trend that we continue to see and I'm really happy about is these shows are focusing on the near-term games. So apart from Saros, everything we saw is coming out this year. And we got release dates for pretty much everything. So I hate to see these shows and us get like a sizzle reel, no real gameplay, and then coming soon. And it's like, we're not going to hear about that game for several years. So none of that stuff, which is good. So overall, nothing crazy for me, but I still thought it was a very well-rounded state of play.
As I mentioned, I didn't actually get to watch the state of play like as a presentation, but I found a lot of stuff in there just by looking at like here's a list of everything that was shown and then the trailers. I actually found quite a few games in there that were appealing to me. And if I'm being real with you, we always expect the big stuff, and yeah, there's always the idea circulating of if we get a Bloodborne or something like that, just the kind of industry shaking stuff. But for me, I kind of I forgot about Ghost of Yotei existing. I'm excited for it. I'm gonna play it. I loved Tsushima, but I just didn't expect that because I didn't think of it. If I had, maybe that would be different. But I saw quite a few things in there that looked appealing to me, and I didn't see anything in there that I was like, that looks bad. Maybe it wasn't for me, but there was nothing in there that I would be like, I can't believe they put that in their state of play just because it was a marketing thing. They all looked like games that are playable. Now, there's a few of them I don't want to play on PlayStation that I want to play on PC, but that's just a preference. And hopefully they will come to PC as well. But why don't we go around and talk about pull out a few games that we want to discuss. I'm going to take the first one so that nobody else can. And that is, I got to find it again here, a Metal Eden. Metal Eden looks like a game that was designed specifically with me in mind. It's like a combination of Doom 2016, Ghost Runner, and boomer shooters. This game is very appealing to my interest, and I think it's coming out in May, if I saw the trailer correctly. Let me look at it. Yeah, it's coming out in May. That's the date they put on it. So for me, that was the first one that just popped up out of nowhere, obviously. It's just got revealed. Deep Silver is publishing it, it looks like. And if that's all they had shown, that's all I needed, man. I just need one. I don't have enough time in my life to play multiple games. I'm too busy fulfilling my resolutions, which we'll talk about, okay, later in Marvel Rivals. All right, I'm too busy playing games that suck up all of my time. I don't have time to play all sorts of new giant releases. So Metal Eden for me was the first one I want to pull out. And yes, I did take the first spot because I was afraid someone else would steal it. Brandon, how about you? What was your first one?
I wouldn't have stolen that because I feel like that game looks a little stiff. I don't know. Maybe
I feel like
maybe
you look a little stiff, but not in a good way.
Yeah, I do look a little stiff, and I'll agree with you on that. I don't want to put the obvious one. Directive 8020, I think looks great. I really loved Until Dawn. I didn't really resonate with the Man of Medan series. I played a couple of them and thought they were not quite as good and didn't capture the lightning in the bottle, as far as I'm concerned, that Until Dawn did. And I'm really glad to see they're doing something else because Until Dawn is one of my favorite games of all time. There are a few games that I've beaten as many times as I've beaten Until Dawn. It's not the longest game, but that being said, usually I don't strive to play it more than multiple times. So the fact that they're going into space is really cool. A lot of the ones that I knew about, because I've not played all of them, are like pretty grounded experiences, literally, in the real world, whether they be paranormal or like human based. So it's going to be cool to see something new. At first, I thought maybe they were like partnering with Alien for a second, because that's kind of the vibes I was getting from it. But that's good. I think that's really good. And I'm really interested to see kind of where they take that, because I love this style of game. And I think the people that make those games, I don't even remember who makes that game off the top of my head.
Alien?
Oh, I don't. Oh, it's Supermassive, idiot.
Oh.
I'm stupid. I knew that. But yeah, Supermassive makes good shit, except for the Quarry. I didn't really like the Quarry either. So I guess the only game I've ever played that I like of theirs is Until Dawn. But what I'm saying is that I want them to make something again that I like, because nothing was ever as favorably received by me or the audience as Until Dawn. So I love the new setting, and it looks really good, like visually very pleasing as well. So
Dave, you're up.
I'll start with the banger. Borderlands 4. Previously been revealed, so nothing new there, but we got a release date, and it's good timing. September 23rd of this year, which is a great way to kick off the busy holiday gaming season, and also aligns with Borderlands 3 launch date, which was September 16th, 2020. I know that because it's my birthday. So pretty close to that. Yeah. New trailer today, lots of gameplay shown. Randy Pitchford and his buddy Randy did the reveal, and my wife was watching, and I pointed at Randy Pitchford and was like, I stood beside that guy before, and he smells really good. She's like, he looks like he smells good. And yeah, so something that I noticed in the reveal trailer from the Game Awards was kind of reaffirmed today, which it looks like the major gameplay mechanic that they're pushing in Borderlands 4 is verticality. So not necessarily like flying and jetpacks and stuff like that, but there seems to be this like hook shot thingy that like you can use to pull yourself up onto high ledges. And there was lots of cases of like your character jumping high in the air and then like swooping down and like ground pounding. So there was a lot more of that in this trailer, which makes me think that that's kind of going to be a big thing for this game. Which is cool. I think that's a nice way to kind of change things up, and it's going to be more Borderlands. So if you're sick of Borderlands, like you can, this isn't going to be the game for you. But I love Borderlands, so I'm happy with what I've seen so far for Borderlands 4.
Nice. I thought of you immediately when I saw the notification come up that it had been announced, or the release date had been announced. Of course, because you're like one of 4 people in the entire world that I know who like Borderlands. Dave, I'm still considering your hey, you need to play all the Borderlands games. Like you told me I need to play all the Borderlands games before 4 comes out. I'm still considering it. I'm not sure if I want to, but I think I could in that amount of time. September's a good date. Brandon, what's up next for you?
We're skipping you. I'm gonna throw
Didn't
a
I
shade
go?
at one.
Didn't I go?
Were you for?
Oh, I was
You went
first.
first. Yeah.
You're
It
right.
doesn't matter. I can
You
go.
stole-
No, I'm going.
Fine.
What is he going to steal this time?
I'm not.
Probably
I don't
the
know if I'm
Sonic
going to
Racing
steal
game.
anything. Sonic Racing. No,
Disgusting.
I'm not a
Ben
big
said
Sonic fan.
there's nothing that looked bad, and that's why I gave him the 1 minute, because that's the fucking dude. Fuck Sonic.
I'm
I don't
just,
care what anybody
I don't,
says.
I didn't really mean it, guys. I didn't even, God. Warriors Abyss. This is out today, I think. I gotta check it out for sure to see if it's actually out today. But it's from Koei Tecmo. It's a roguelike. It looks like a mix between, I don't know, Diablo and Hades and a bunch of other stuff. But it still has kind of a, I don't want to say it has a not big budget feel. I don't want to say indie because it definitely looks, it's obviously being pushed more than that, and there's more of a budget in it than most indie games are. But this one looks appealing to me because it just looks like, as Dave was mentioning earlier, a good old hack and slash. I'm sure there's going to be lots of strategy and everything to it, and actually some skill involved in perfecting this game. But when I saw it, I immediately thought, that looks cool. That looks like other games I've played, and I want to play more of them. So I don't know anything about it. I know that it's out today. I don't know how much it is or anything. Let's see here. It's coming to the Switch. Never mind. I'm out. If it's going to be able to be played on this. No, I'm just kidding.
Budget.
Comes to Switch though tomorrow. It looks like.
Only Switch?
No, it's out today on.
Okay.
No, but Switch games come out on Thursday historically.
Okay.
Pretty much always. But so PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, and Steam. It's out today. So I'm gonna look at it right now. Brandon.
I want to throw some shade at a title that I thought actually looked really bad.
Of course you do.
The game Mind's Eye that they did a large presentation on, I think looks like really bad. I'm going to be honest with you. They even did a gameplay trailer. The driving looks awful. The third-person gameplay, legitimately, at every time I was watching the screen, I thought it looks almost like a fan-made GTA 5 mod. That at every second I was watching the screen, that's what I was getting from it. So it might play a lot better than it looks, but when watching it, I was just very confused as to what the fuck was going on visually and gameplay wise. I was just not impressed at all. Not to say it didn't look striking in some ways, but this was the only one aside from obvious things like I don't like Sonic, right? That they spent a lot of time on, but I kind of felt like was strange to me. I don't know if you guys got that feel either. Something about it just turned me off. What did you guys think about this? I'm actually genuinely curious. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the trailer, Ben. But yeah, this one just looks weird to me, man. I don't know what it is about it, but it just looks like, I'm just going to repeat what I already said. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'll talk about a game that I'm excited for now, which is Mind's Eye. No, this wasn't like one of the. I didn't even have this one noted, but I was watching it, kind of thinking this looks like Detroit Become Human with more gameplay, which is something I think is a cool idea. It did feel kind of 2007 for me in terms of when big bombastic cinematic gameplay trumped good gameplay, which was cool to me. So I understand everything you're seeing and everything you're saying, and I kind of agree with you, but I'm also interested to see a little bit more. But yeah, it did kind of give me that very shallow blockbuster movie vibe, but I'm also kind of interested to see it. It's also anytime you see something that ambitious from a brand new studio, it's always kind of a red flag for me. So yeah, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, it gave me strange Just Cause vibes, and I'm not talking about the good ones. I'm talking the new one that just came out, or the new Saints Row vibes. Not in a good way is what I'm saying. So go ahead, Ben.
I did get to look at this earlier, the trailer. I just skimmed through it, admittedly, and I didn't see the driving before. I agree, the driving looks a little bit dated for sure, and the whole game kind of looks a little bit older, but it kind of makes me think, just looking at the trailer, it makes me feel like it's going to be fairly linear. Maybe that's totally wrong, and that's not the case, but I don't know, man. There's something lately about linearity that is really appealing to me. I still love my RPGs and my open world games, but just having a game that I can just play and not have to explore the entire world to get the most out of it is really satisfying to me, at least mentally in the last year or so, maybe 2 years. So it does look, you're not wrong. It looks a little dated, and it probably wasn't one that would have stood out to me. But I don't know. I don't know, Brandon, that I would have given away one of my props to a game in order to shit on another one. You know?
I also want to take this time to shit on WWE 2K25.
We can all agree on that one.
Online.
It's fine.
Nobody needs an online space in your game, and to be able to purchase things in a store. If I wanted to purchase something in a store, I'd go to the fucking mall.
What mall?
Strip malls still exist, unfortunately.
We don't have a functional mall within 100 miles of our house.
To be honest, after the Kendrick Lamar's kind of victory lap, I've decided that sometimes you have to be a hater, and it's okay.
You now decided it's okay for you to be a hater.
Yeah,
just
before I felt bad about it, at least a little bit, because I have a bit of a conscience. But I've tried to suppress that part of my brain, so I never have to consider what anybody else feels but myself. Kind of like my father.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's normal to follow in their footsteps. I understand.
Yeah. The apple.
Dave,
what do they say about the apple?
It tastes nasty in the wintertime. Dave, what's your next game?
Something about a Band-Aid in a salad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude.
My last one is Split Fiction. Obviously, this was another one that's been previously announced, but we got a lot more today. Today was a story trailer, and but even though it was just a story trailer, it gave us a lot of new looks at the kind of things you're going to be doing in this game, and it looks like co-op intense. So what I mean by that is, like, yes, you're working together, but everything I saw was really fast paced and like really action packed. So I'm Split Fiction has my attention. And when we first saw the gameplay trailer or the reveal at the Game Awards, I think it was I kind of got the concern that, you know, they had kind of lost some of the emotion that they had in oh my god, I can't, what was the first game?
Takes Two.
It Takes Two, which is obviously a very emotional thing. It was about divorce and parents splitting up and how kids handle it and stuff. Well, whereas Split Fiction looked like a much more action focused game, and I'm like, how are they going to make this emotional? But today's trailer kind of gave us a glimpse, and it seems like a really unique premise. The two characters, which at first I thought were sisters, are not. Apparently when the game starts, they don't even know each other, and they just kind of get sucked into like one of the characters' story that she wrote for like her father, and they kind of have to develop this relationship over the course of the game, which takes place with you playing a co-op game. So I think that's a really cool narrative setup, and I'm really looking forward to that one. I've talked a little bit in the past about wanting to play video games a little bit more with my wife, and this might be a fun way to do that. I think maybe It Takes Two is more her speed, but this could be a fun approach too. So yeah, I'm excited for Split Fiction for sure.
I tried to play It Takes Two with my wife, and it did not go well. I was having a fine time, but she was so worried about the fact that she was irritating me that she irritated me. Not by what she thought she was irritating me about, but by being worried she was irritating me. I was like, it's fine that you're not good at games. Like, it's fine. Just play. And she's like, I can't even figure out how to get the camera to move. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. And she's like, are you mad at me? I was like, no. So, are you sure? I'm like, now I am. But I wasn't really mad. I wanted to pull out a couple more to talk about real briefly, not necessarily shout outs, but we got a new Dave the Diver tie-in here with Ichiban. I thought that was interesting. There's a little bit of beat 'em up qualities to what they showed off here. Be interesting. I'll check it out, of course. I don't really know how it's going to go, and I don't necessarily have a huge attachment to that character, but I think it's just silly enough to be funny, to be fun. I mean, and then the other thing was, where is it? Oh, I wanted to mention the Lies of P DLC, which I did not finish Lies of P, but what I played of it was really, really good. Oh, and Brandon, the game I thought you were going to bring up, or the thing I thought you were going to bring up was Stellar Blade and the Goddess of Victory tie-in.
Nike.
I think it's Nike.
It is great. Although they said there's only one outfit, and I feel like that's actually offensive to me.
Yeah,
The fact that there's only one outfit, that would be like most of the objective of having a DLC that doesn't really involve much more other than cosmetics. But anyway,
sure.
I digress.
Yeah, I thought that's one. Yeah, I thought that was pretty smart to collaborate with their own game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, props to them
Yeah,
for making baddies.
making baddies. Do either of you have anything else you want to talk about?
Guys, should I play FNAF?
No, I don't think you'd like it.
Does this new... Did anyone feel anything with this new FNAF trailer? Maybe it's because I've been playing all these really low budget like horror games recently that I was like, maybe I should try this at some point. And I'm not saying necessarily. I think there's like a million of them at this point. If anyone in Discord has any experience, any like 12-year-olds in Discord that have any experience playing FNAF, dude, a lot of kids love this game. That's why I'm saying that.
I don't think you're allowed to solicit 12-year-olds for anything at your age.
If any 18-year-olds with a young spirit that played FNAF, I'm not
like, you
BBL.
sound like Digital Foundry, Brandon.
I sound like fucking BBL Drizzy right now. That's what I sound like. I sound like goddamn, Leonardo DiCaprio, dude. Oh no,
I'm sorry, you kept saying FNAF, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Five Nights at Freddy's. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's like it's like Minecraft, Roblox, FNAF. Like that's what the youths
The
like.
youths,
And I'm not,
yeah.
and like at 30, the youths could mean like people in their early 20s. That's not what I'm talking about. But if anyone's tried it, I'm a little curious by this trailer. It looks kind of interesting, the whole mimic idea of like shoots being everywhere and you not knowing which one is the bad one. I feel like that could be kind of interesting. Also, what was this like 4-player? It kind of looks awful. This 4-player horror
Well, real quick,
game.
I want to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's real quick.
Go ahead.
I've never played Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't have any actual exposure to the series other than pop culture, but my kid, both of my kids, but specifically my older kid, is really into horror. And I kind of think he'd like Five Nights at Freddy's, but I also don't really want him to get into Five Nights at Freddy's. What do I do?
Well, don't tell him you don't want him to get into it because then he will.
True.
Just by default, because that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Ask him to play it and say you love it. No, wait, no, he probably would play it if you said that.
If I loved it, he'd love it. Yeah.
You're kind of in a bit of a paradox here, Ben.
I mean, I know there's the chance that he'll just never discover it, but if he does discover it, is it going to be too late for him to get the joy out of it he could have gotten otherwise? Do I want to deprive my oldest son of that joy just because I'm not a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah, that is kind of selfish.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, me neither.
What else were you going to say? Something about 4-player?
Abiotic Factor. Did you guys see this one?
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to kind of pair this with FNAF as well because I've been playing a lot of trash co-op horror games. This only intrigues me for that reason. Because if I can get a couple nights of romps out of it with the boys, I'd be interested. So if this is like a cheaper budget title, I could be interested in playing it if it's on PC as well. I didn't see the title card at the end. But there's about 1 million of these games, but it also has like crafting and shit too, which is cool. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. The rest of the showcase was fine. I can't believe you guys haven't mentioned anything about Soros yet.
Well, that's why I said, anybody have anything else? And waiting for one of you to bring it up.
So,
Dave, do you want to bring up anything else?
I'll just quickly mention Days Gone Remaster is Sony being irritating, but I'll reiterate that Days Gone is a fantastic game. So if you haven't played it, play it, whether it's PS4 or PS5, I don't care. But it's a really good game that a lot of people passed up on. So yes, continue.
Okay, Brandon, go ahead.
10 Bones actually isn't bad. I kind of like what they're doing. If you have the game to upgrade, it honestly is probably usually worth it with a lot of these Sony games. So I can't be too upset. And then they get to make another buck. So more power to Bend. I think they're talented. I just think that game got kind of a bad rap. So Soros looks cool. Yeah, I played a bit of Returnal. I'd imagine that maybe Ben, you played that, right?
I have a long saga with that game.
Well, I know.
Sorry, I have to shout out the chat because that at this point is a deep cut because that was from 3 years ago.
That was from 5 years ago, Dave. Almost 5 years ago. Yeah.
that Returnal destroyed Ben's life. It was great content for several weeks, but
Right.
yeah. So shout out to chat for remembering that.
I was
I
going to
just
say that I kind of want to play it, but I think Housemarque might have a personal vendetta against my PlayStation 5
Well, I was gonna
personally.
say I didn't know if you ever got another chance after that, or if you kind of wrote it off. I
The
couldn't
moment
remember.
had passed by that point.
Okay.
I played it some, but I didn't play it like I was going to play it. I have it on
I
PC now too though.
I wonder if the guy from the State of Play today from Housemark was the guy who was managing your support ticket. I wonder if he's climbed the ranks just to stare you down.
I hope
In
he's
5 years.
homeless. I hope the guy that managed my support ticket is homeless now. Like I don't hold that against Housemarque or Sony or anything individually. I hold it against that one person. I
Oh
just want to make
God.
that very clear. I hope that person is homeless. Not dead, not sick, just living the nomad life.
That is one way to describe homelessness that I it's very politician of you. They're nomads. They're hunter gatherers. They're not homeless. We have no homeless in America, just hunter gatherers.
They're between houses.
Yeah, yeah. But
I
the
hope
way the
he's-
market is, who can blame them, you know?
I hope he's
It's-
living between houses. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah. Just not between the houses in my neighborhood.
Right.
But yeah, this looks great. I played a bit of Housemarque's last game, Returnal. I fell off kind of hard because I was kind of frustrated with a couple of the things and the way the game randomly gave you shit. But from what I hear since playing it, that they fixed that. So I really enjoyed the game, and I wish I would have got to try it co-op. So the fact that they're coming out with something new is really exciting for me because I think that studio is very talented. So it's a long ways off, and it looks like it's probably going to be kind of similar, if I had to guess, in some ways to their last title. So yeah, this is cool, and I hope to have played and beaten Returnal by then. So
Yeah. I'd like to go back to Returnal. I actually would.
we should play co-op.
If I play it again, I'm probably playing it on PC.
Yeah,
Can you still co-op
I-
crossplay?
well, I mean, I never physically owned it. I borrowed it.
Oh, okay.
And so I would just rebuy it. I'm saying like regardless of the way we have to play it, like we should play it co-op because I really wanted to try that out.
Cool. Are we done with the state of play?
I think so.
Wrap it up. Please wrap it up. Let's talk about this just because I've been playing a lot of Overwatch lately. There's a lot of new stuff they announced today that they're adding into Overwatch 2, which who even knows what 2 means anymore. But one thing that's causing a lot of stir is loot boxes are back. And it says, according to their Twitter post, and I think they did a big presentation today, a video, available in both the Battle Pass and weekly rewards. See what surprises are waiting for you when loot boxes make their official return in Season 15. Brandon, you're the one with the most passionate interest in, or disinterest in Overwatch loot boxes specifically. What do you think?
No, see that's not exactly the case, Ben, because I think this is a great addition.
Oh.
My quarrel with Overwatch 2 is that it's not Overwatch 1.
Yeah.
That's been my quarrel from the beginning. Is that they made empty promises and kind of botched the game I loved. So yeah, I just think it's really funny that they're kind of regressing a lot of the choices they made for Overwatch 2, and now we're getting 6v6. If not, we already have fully 6v6. Ben, you can correct me. If I'm
No,
wrong.
it's not like all the time, and it's not comp. They did bring it, or they did or are bringing it back for quick play. I don't think they're bringing it to comp though.
Either way, it's like this is such a fundamental change, and we've built things and balancing around this, and then like now it's an option to do both. So that was like a huge change to the gameplay and the way like the matches actually
Kind of like
go.
WoW Classic. Oh, you shouldn't play WoW Classic. It's not good. But here you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we're rolling that back. And then they're like, hey, there's not really a ton of way to earn stuff anymore. You get what you got from Overwatch 1, but like then aside from that, you kind of got to pay for skins even that were in Overwatch 1 now with real money. So even though I do think this is a good addition, I think it's really strange that it's taken them this long when the game's been hemorrhaging for years now at this point. So I guess Marvel Rivals actually did do some good for them. I do applaud them for the other changes they've made that are not reversions back to what they've already done before, like this perk system, and there's a bunch of cool modes coming in third person. I do think that's good, but I also am a little bit disappointed that like it took not losing a bunch of players, period. It took another game taking their players.
I agree with you, but do you think they really could have scrapped this together since Rivals came out and they saw how big it was? I think they were working on this plenty of time before that.
With what urgency? It's
true. I mean, this is a huge overhaul, though. There's no chance they saw Marvel Rivals come out and have 700,000 concurrent players on its first day, and they were like, "We got to do something," and it's out by February, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they've been trying to brainstorm ways to kind of suck people back in for a while. And they've tried. They've tried to make some changes to get people in, but all of the attempts have been kind of half-assed, as far as I'm concerned up until this point. So I'm glad they're finally, getting their shit together. This is a series that at least one of the games was a game that I love dearly. I don't think there's a game that I have more merch for than this game. I have keychains, I have hats, I have jackets, I have shirts. I don't really wear any of it anymore. But yeah, it's just sad. It's just sad for me. And I guess happy for the future. I don't know. I'm kind of over it all, but I'm glad they brought this back.
Dave, how do you feel about loot boxes?
I don't speak Overwatch, so I did what any reasonable person would do. And this story came from a tweet, so I sought context in the comment section, which is, it sounds like people are angry about this, but like happy they're back, but also, I don't know, people are talking about how loot boxes that they previously owned were turned into coins, so can they get those loot boxes back? I don't know. It's a confusing story to me because I just feel like the industry has kind of moved off of loot boxes. So using it as a way to get people back into your game seems odd. And I feel like maybe Marvel Rivals has pulled in new gamers to this genre. And I don't know if this is a way to get them to try out your game. So yeah, I don't know. It's an odd approach. And I don't know, Brandon, does this make you want to play more?
No, I mean, they've lost a lot of the goodwill that they had earned from me previously. I think that this will entice me more to play with my friends because aside from just playing with my friends, which I've done in the past year, now this is like an added bonus. So now I get to play with my friends and feel like I'm fucking doing something because I'll at least get a couple loot boxes every once in a while.
Right.
Not doing something. I mean, like in game doing something. Like obviously I'm enjoying spending time with my friends and that's why I'm doing it mostly. But it's also nice to like have something else attached to that is like an in-game reward aside from just the joy of winning, which never fucking happens to me anyway. So it's just like it's tough, man. It's tough playing comp. But
the other things they've added, it looks like, are they're going to be doing some new maps. They're going to be reworking some existing maps, and then, as Brandon briefly mentioned, the perk system, which I'm not going to go into detail, but that's very interesting to me for sure. Having the ability, well, first of all, they're giving some of the heroes new abilities or changing them. One example IGN uses here is Orissa's primary fire refunds heat with critical hits. A major perk can essentially rework the hero mid-match, like replacing Orissa's javelin spear with her barrier or making her energy javelin chargeable, increasing its speed, knockback, and letting it pierce through enemies. So like just little tweaks like that to the characters, not necessarily balancing tweaks, but just adding new skills to them. And it looked like they had some modes where you could like mix and match perks as well. I didn't really get to delve that too deep into it, but I'm just, Overwatch has its highs and has its lows. I've gone through periods where I've enjoyed it a lot. I've gone through periods where I haven't. I'm much like Brandon, where I'm enjoying the game, but I'm playing it because I'm playing with my friends, and that's what they want to do, and that's why I'm playing it. But this makes me excited about, like, I want the game to succeed, to continue to succeed, regardless of what has happened in the past with it. I still want it to succeed. They also they're going to be doing a third person mode with a new game type as well. That's very interesting to me. I don't know that I like that more or less. It's interesting that they're doing something in that realm when the game's been out for 8 years essentially, and it's been first person all along, and now they're doing third person. Interesting. Okay, let's see where that goes. That's just kind of how it's kind of like when they did. Well, they're still doing it. Third person Warzone. I was like, I don't know how this is going to go, and ultimately, I don't think it went very well. But they tried something. That's something Call of Duty doesn't have to do because they're Call of Duty, and they tried something. So I don't know. I'm all about even when you're on the top, being innovative, and that keeps you closer to the top, hopefully. I think we can cover at least the next one pretty quickly. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah. Yep.
Alan Wake 2 sales have surpassed 2 million. This comes from Twisted Voxel, and it says Remedy Entertainment has shared positive updates for the fourth quarter of 2024, with Alan Wake 2 hitting a major milestone by selling over 2 million units and starting to generate royalties. In a detailed statement, the CEO highlighted a 13.1% increase in revenue compared to the previous year, reaching 11.7 million euros. This growth was partly driven by higher development fees from ongoing projects like Max Payne 1 and 2 Remake and Control 2. They noted that the royalties, while lower than the same period last year, primarily came from sales of Control, older Alan Wake titles, and the newly successful Alan Wake 2. By the end of the fourth quarter, Alan Wake 2 had not only recouped its development and marketing costs, but also began earning royalties, marking a key financial achievement for the game. So Alan Wake 2, we've talked for a long time about how it didn't make any money off the rip. And of course, it's been an Epic Store exclusive and all that kind of stuff for a long time. But the one thing before we get started in this conversation, regardless of whether it's long or short, is I want people to remember Epic fully, I'm pretty sure, I don't have the details of this disclosure. This is what's been discussed publicly. Epic fully funded this game. So Remedy didn't take on any debt aside from with Epic funding their game that they had to then recoup. It's just that this game hasn't recouped its costs through Epic publishing it to actually start paying an additional amount to Remedy until this point. That's the best way I understand it, is that it's not that it wasn't recouping its cost, it's that whatever amount of money they took out, sorry, let me start it over again. It hadn't recouped its cost, but Epic wasn't like hurting for it. They weren't taking out loans or anything, except for through Epic, who published it. Once it reaches that break-even point, essentially, or whatever point they determined in their contract, which hasn't been revealed publicly that I know of, then they start getting royalties from it, in addition to Epic also, I'm sure, taking royalties from it. So anyway, what do you guys think? Alan Wake 2, phenomenal game, my game of the year that year, for sure. Seems like a long time, though, to kind of break even, doesn't it? For such a good game. And such handsome men in it. Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a game that I played. I also didn't play the first one. It's one that, for a while, it wasn't sold physically. I think it is being sold physically now. Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
So this would have been a game I would have borrowed, but because that wasn't really an option, I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good. I don't know. I'm more interested in the Max Payne, and I want this studio to succeed, to continue to make games. So yeah, this is good, and I'm glad they were able to break even because the game was good. I just think it's a little bit niche. I think they got a lot closer to breaking the mainstream with Alan Wake 2 than they ever did with Alan Wake 1. But nonetheless, I still don't think it's really a national phenomenon or like a normie game. You know, I don't think my brother or my dad would know what Alan Wake is at all. And
your dad would.
And that's kind of my litmus test there, is that like if they've heard of it, if it's on Facebook Reels or whatever it's called, it's just like, yeah. So I mean, this is good, and I'm glad they succeeded. I would imagine the majority of the sales have already happened. I'm sure there's opportunities for things going on sale and stuff like that to continue to gain revenue for this game, and it will continue to sell because by all accounts it is a great game. But I would imagine the majority of sales have already happened. So for it to have taken this long is not bad for the game, but I hope they just continue to push the envelope with this one.
Yeah, a reminder that you're right. The majority of sales have definitely already happened at the highest price point. But like when they do the budgets for these games, they typically do factor in like well, we're going to discount this game in 2 years or whatever, however long, a year, sometimes less. We're going to discount this game, and we're also counting that towards our projections. It's just unfortunate that it's been almost 2 years since the game came out and just now broke even.
Right.
Davey?
Yeah, same feeling as you guys. 2 million doesn't seem like a lot, but Remedy has multiple projects in the works from a video game perspective, and I think they have their partnerships going with film production. So yeah, they're doing really well, and studios that are bigger than them or about the same size have closed a lot over the past several years. So the fact that Remedy's been able to be resilient is a good thing, and they're still doing them because what they have in the works is more Max Payne and more Control. So I'm happy to see that Remedy is plugging on and doing the things that they want to do, because a lot of studios would have closed or pivoted by now, and they're not. They're just sticking to what they do well. So I played Alan Wake 1 last year, and I still have to go back and play Alan Wake 2, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
You should, Dave. Sooner than later, in my opinion. And the DLC. I don't know. Next one. Dave, why don't you take this one? If you don't mind. Also, Brandon, I think your obsessive highlighting everything in the document messed up the formatting here, but that's okay.
It's right below it.
I know.
Give me a new banner there, Ben.
Oh, okay.
Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered getting physical releases on Switch and PS5 this summer. Pre-orders are live now for all versions, including the deluxe edition that includes a soundtrack, steelbook case, and more. The cult favorites Legacy of Kain series finally returned after a long slumber with the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered last year. The collection launched digitally on console and PC back in December 2024, but soon fans will be able to add it to their shelves with the upcoming Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered PS5 and Switch physical editions launching June 13th. Pre-orders for the standard and deluxe editions are available now at Amazon.com. Yeah, the only reason why I brought this up is because this is the second game in a little over 3 weeks that has announced a physical release on 2 out of the 3 major consoles, of course, Xbox being the snub. Brandon, first of all, any Soul Reaver experience, and do you see more games snubbing Xbox when it comes to physical releases?
I don't have much Soul Reaver experience, no. In fact, I have none at all. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with the smaller install base if companies didn't really see it advantageous. As we continue to see the decline of physical game sales in general, this sort of thing will continue to happen. If we continue to see poor sales numbers as far as hardware goes from other companies, I don't think this is like specifically because of Xbox. I think this is like a numbers based thing. Not to say that PlayStation would fall behind at this point or something like that, but if the script was flipped, so to speak, and PlayStation was the one with the 1/3 of the install base of Xbox this generation, then I think we'd be seeing an article that said PlayStation is not getting a physical release. So I think that this is purely a cost saving measure, especially because it is an older game, and it's a game that, once again, from my perception, is more of a niche game. So that's how I perceive it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I guess I don't have a ton of experience with the series in general, so I don't know that I can make an incredibly apt prediction as far as how it will sell, but that's kind of how I'm reading this.
Ben.
Yeah. I think Brandon's onto something with. I have no Soul Reaver experience personally, other than I've seen gameplay. That's about it. But them skipping Xbox physically is not that surprising because Xbox doesn't publish their own games physically a lot of times. So, and if they do, it's a code in the box or the disc unlocks the download. And I know that a lot of games just unlock a download. I get it, but I think what I've seen online is that it just costs more to put games on Xbox discs, and that a lot of people don't offer the service because it's not very widely, it's not profitable. A lot of people with Xboxes don't buy digital, and I don't know if there's a specific reason, or sorry, buy physical. I don't know if there's really a reason for that, or if it's just an industry thing, or if it's because Xbox pushes Game Pass so much, or because so much of their SKU is the Series S, and now they're doing another discless console, or what the. It probably is a summation of all those factors. But for them to skip it doesn't seem that crazy to me. For them to be able to go on to Switch takes a pretty large order. I assume PlayStation is a pretty large order as well. So I do know that, those are the systems that sell more games. Like that's just statistically true. Is that Xbox typically doesn't sell as many, and physically the Xbox fans are not accustomed to buying physical, in my opinion. The game sections at Walmart and GameStop, which I know aren't big movers anymore, they're always smaller in the Xbox section than they are in any other section. I just feel like Xbox is offered less physically, so why would a special limited edition be any different? So I think you asked if it's a larger industry trend. I think it is probably that we're going to see less and less for Xbox as time goes on.
It was particularly eyebrow raising a couple weeks ago when Xbox had its own show announce Ninja Gaiden Black 2. And then after the show, it was announced that the game that was on Xbox's own show would only be released physically for Switch and PlayStation, which was really weird. But I think I don't know how much Microsoft is pushing back on this kind of stuff. I assume they're not, because their own Game Pass service is cannibalistic to physical sales. Right. But they keep talking about how they're going to maintain a presence in the console space. So I don't know. All signs are kind of pointing towards Microsoft being the first to go all digital next generation, because they're not pushing these kind of physical releases, and no one really seems to want to launch physical on their console. So I think they're going to be the first to do it. As in, next generation, we'll see some kind of Xbox, but you won't be able to put anything in it. Just kind of weird. But
I would be surprised. I think that because we're getting, a new Nintendo Switch, the Switch 2 this year, and we already know that it'll support physical. So let's call that the next generation for that. But the next generation for Xbox and PlayStation, I would doubt that there's a standard SKU that comes with a disc reader. I think they'll both have drives that are separate that can support them, especially if backwards compatibility is going to continue to be a thing. But I would really doubt, like, there's very little point in selling them as the standard SKU with a disc reader when statistically most people do not buy physically anymore.
Right.
So why would you build that unnecessary cost into a lot of people's purchase decisions? Okay, I forgot I was supposed to go to the next story now. Brandon, this one's especially for you. I don't know why. Stellar Blade keeps coming up, and I keep thinking of you. But Stellar Blade developer Shift Up, according to Eurogamer, expects the forthcoming PC release of its action game to exceed sales of the console release. As part of its latest financial report, the company was asked about the expected results of Stellar Blade on PC, where it noted the higher market share for PC over consoles. It follows similar comments from its previous financial report. Quote, in the AAA game market, PC devices have a higher market share than consoles, so we expect the performance of the PC version to exceed that of the console version, the company said. Quote, we are particularly observing trends such as the significant expansion of the single-player action game market in the Asian gaming industry. That significant expansion is likely due to the success of Black Myth Wukong. I don't know if I'd totally agree with that, Eurogamer. I think that people in Asia have been playing on PCs for longer than since Black Myth came out, but I'm sure that drove some sales. The company is analyzing the market for comparison and also promised an optimized experience even on the Steam Deck. Brandon, what do you think about that? PC boy, you're a Stellar Blade boy.
Yeah, dude, the mod community is about to go brazy.
I don't even know if the mod community needs to do anything. Corporate talk, what he really meant is mods. That's fair.
Ben, come on, man. Come on.
Listen, I'm not saying it won't get mods. I'm saying I don't know if that game needs mods.
Fucking prude. No, I agree. I feel like this game has a lot of mass appeal. Eastern or otherwise. And I feel like there's a large market that would be interested in this game that is not a PlayStation owner. So, do I think it's going to sell more? I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. But I think once we start getting a million articles every day, it's going to be like Kotaku, and it's going to be a blurred out. They have this mod. Once the buzz starts circulating of the first titty physics shot through the roof, you're right, Ben. It doesn't need it. But will it get it? Yes. And as soon as the buzz of that starts circulating because it's sensational, that that does this even need to be more sexualized? 10 mods that are whatever. So I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I could see that angle being a little bit of a buzz just because it makes headlines and sex sells. So, but aside from that, I want this game everywhere. Truthfully, I do because I think it's an amazing game. And yeah, not for the reasons that you think, but
If they really wanted this game to push some headlines, everybody knows Stellar Blade, is titillating. If they really wanted it to make some headlines, they would make a fully clothed Eve mod where she's just wearing like
A snowsuit.
jeans and flannel.
They literally have that. Okay, it's called the fucking bear outfit. Have you seen it in game? You're literally in a that's kind of furry-esque. I don't know. Maybe that's a different kind of kinky. for
That's
some
different.
people.
That's different than
For
jeans
the
and
grinder
flannel.
community.
I mean, there are outfits where she's wearing jeans, Ben. Trust me, I got
So,
nearly
like I
all
said,
of them.
they don't even need the mods.
Exactly.
It's in the game already, Edward says. Of course Edward knows. Of course he does. Dave, before you go, Ed says, wasn't there a huge uptick of Chinese Steam accounts that were created with Wukong, or am I misremembering that? Ed, now that you say that, it does remind me of an article I saw talking about how all those accounts had disappeared. I don't know if the accounts had disappeared, but just activity from many, many Chinese accounts had disappeared. So it's tough to say if those were real or not, because why would they play one game and never play another one, other than the fact that they're in China and behind a bunch of different regulations than the rest of the world is. But yeah, it could be the case that there's a lot of new PC gamers there. But I just feel like there's a lot of PC gamers there, period. Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with Shift Up's prediction here, mostly because I feel like anecdotally the PC player base just in general is a little bit more savvy and engaged than the console gamer. And what I mean by that, for every one PS5 gamer that would be interested and buy a game like this, there's probably about 3 or 4 PlayStation console gamers who will only play Fortnite, FIFA, or Call of Duty. Whereas on PC, I think there's a lot more people who would be interested in a game like this. So the other thing is this game has had a decent amount of content come out post-launch and crossovers. So the value for money on the PC is going to be a lot better than it was at launch for PS5. So yeah, and then the modding stuff. Agree with you guys there. So I'm happy Shift Up is succeeding with a new IP like this, and yeah, I'm just with the kind of crisis that we're going through in the video game industry with skyrocketing development costs and kind of games not succeeding from a sales perspective as they are. I wonder if the PC is going to become that safety net that consoles were traditionally, because there is a bigger install base there globally. And if people are more willing to try something on PC than console, then maybe we see a lot fewer console exclusives. But yeah, we knew that Sailor Blade was a timed exclusive from the start. So yeah, in any case, good for Shift Up. New IP succeeding like this is always good.
Agreed. New IP for the win. And not new IP for the sake of new IP, but also new IP for the sake of new IP, because sometimes it's just nice to have something brand new.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Ben, you completely omitted one of the most important gaming subjects that has recently come to light: the Night Rain news.
Well, Dave did the notes tonight for me, so I didn't. You're right. I omitted it, but so did Dave. Don't
Let me
blame
go
me for
over
this.
this a little bit. Let me go over this for a little bit. This is from Okami13 on Twitter. This is Elden Ring Night Rain news. A couple of the notable changes to Night Rain in the From Software formula. I just want to read this list real quick because I find some of it very intriguing. I've also watched extensive gameplay in the past day of people. Actually, tonight was when I watched it. So movement speed is incredibly fast. There's a sense of speed and importance. New movement abilities, wall run, gliding with the Spectral Hawk, and there's an additional sprint that is double the speed of the sprint in Elden Ring. One run in this game takes about 30 to 40 minutes. So that's kind of new. There's like a constant, it's more of a like traditional roguelike experience. Instead of just being in an open world, you're really just doing like run after run after run, it feels like. Defeating powerful enemies or special groups will reward your team with latent power, which allows you to select either one weapon or special ability each. You can earn relics when completing a mission, which act as permanent upgrades that you can select and customize. Some relics work at all times, kind of like a buff. If you're near death in battle, your teammates can rescue you by attacking you. You kind of become down like on Fortnite. And you got to swipe at them to get them back up. Dying repeatedly.
They just not want to put in a new animation for rezzing someone.
Maybe, I don't know. Dying repeatedly makes it so that way your teammates have to swipe you more, so there is a punishment for dying more. During the day, dying will simply respawn you. At night, you will remain incapacitated until someone rescued you or you reset at the grace. There's a 3-day mechanic, and then day night, day night. You can share loot. You'll not like that, Ben. Everything in game is shared.
Yeah, that makes me able to play it with Brandon.
You can pin locations on the map. Right now, there's 4 classes that have been shown off. Y'all can look up the classes online. It's actually right on their website. They all look very cool with some pretty unique things going on. And they've even added things like, obviously, there's different animations, there's different enemies. A lot of the assets are reused, at least a lot of the ones that I've seen. But little things like whenever you critical strike somebody, your friends can still attack and do damage on things that are being critical striked, which is not how it's happened in other games. When you're doing a critical strike in Elden Ring, the enemy is immune. As well as when you knock an enemy down, if you have something that shoves an enemy down, they would then be in a stagger state as well, which they cannot do damage in. That's also not a thing. So there's tons of stuff coming out. I would implore anyone that's interested in Elden Ring or Night Rain at all. I only read some of the things that I've seen here, but I've seen tons of gameplay. I think I watched, is it Iron Pineapple? Really big guy in the community. I believe that's his name. He has a really awesome deep dive that From actually sent him a lot of B-roll for this entire video, which he was voicing over it. So yeah, very, very, very exciting news. So there's 4 characters in the beta test, and I believe there'll be 8 total. So just some really, really interesting things going on, and it's not a full price title, which I absolutely love. So I'm hyped, boys. This is what got me rock solid today. I will say, even though I didn't think the state of play was bad, this was all I've been thinking about all day. So very,
just the appeal of the 30 to 40 minute run.
Dude, it's sexy.
I like that.
Dude, it's sexy. It's very nice, and I love how fast it's supposed to be. Like that's so appealing to me.
Yeah, agreed. Dave, anything to contribute for the Night Rain?
No, I didn't even know there was previews that went up today. But yeah, I'm looking forward to giving it a shot because Elden Ring was the kind of game that could suck you in, and every time I played it, I would come out several hours and just feel exhausted mentally. So the thought of like a 30-minute like sub-hour run, just squeezing something in is cool. It's gonna bring new life and kind of put a new spin on an already great experience in Elden Ring. So
nice. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Brandon.
I actually didn't update my thing. from last
Really?
week. I
Well,
forgot to do that. Whoops. Um, so I played about this is the only week I've done that. Fuck you guys,
yeah, no, yeah. This is definitely the only week you haven't looked at the document before we started the show.
dude. Shut up. Um, so I played about, I'd say like conservatively about 6 hours of RE1. I played it on stream the other day, maybe six and some change. But man, this game is good but tough for me. Very tough for me. I'm finding a lot of the backtracking and having to remember where everything is very tedious. And I think that uh, I knew I'd have a struggle with this game, but I didn't think I'd struggle that much. I'm watching a guide, and I'm still kind of feeling a bit lost. So I don't know how that's possible, but props to this game for being so complex for a game that came out in 1996. I think a lot about it is wonderful, but for me at this point, I don't think I would ever choose to continue to play a game like this if it wasn't a part of my resolution. I think I would have stopped maybe 4 or 5 hours in, not made it to six, maybe 3 hours in. So, yeah, it's great for what it is, but definitely not my cup of tea. I'm very excited to get to two. I believe I'm somewhere between half and three-fourths done with the game. So yeah, I'm continuing on that. And I did play about 4 or 5 hours of Civ 7, which I've really enjoyed. I'm still kind of early on. I feel like this game is incredibly complex in so many ways. Not even in the ways that the game is normally, but in the ways that I remember Civ playing. Period. So not only am I going through a new iteration, where I have new mechanics, but things have fundamentally changed about the way the game works from the last couple games that I played. So it's been a bit of a learning curve, but I feel like I'm hitting a stride. In this Civ, there are three notable ages. That's one of the new big changes. Is your Civ almost like resets in some ways at the end of every age, and you have to pick a new civilization with different perks. You can kind of pivot every era, and things about the game change entirely. Where some resources are, what some resources are, units, stuff like that. So that's been interesting. But yeah, I feel like I am hitting a bit of a stride. I've thought about it a lot today about the time I put in last night, and I'm excited to play more tonight. So yeah, really good so far. I know it has like a kind of a mid review on Steam, and I get a lot of the criticisms that have been given to it. But I don't know that I agree with that quite yet. I'm rather enjoying a lot of the changes that have been put forth so far. It does need some work, much like the other civs. They become something much greater than what they were at the beginning. And I know that's not a great way to sell a game at the beginning, but I feel like the product stands by itself pretty well right now. And I do know that they will continue to add substantially, not even DLC, just content and updates and UI. So to kind of make it more accessible. But I love the pacing as well. That's another big change, is I feel like they've kind of, I don't want to say minimized, because that maybe makes it sound bad, but they've like taken some of the annoying parts out of the game. Like for instance, there's no workers anymore. You don't have to manage workers, which was a lot. You can now stack units with things called commanders, so you can move, a 5-person unit instead of having to move 5 individual people. So yeah, just stuff like that, and it kind of feeling a bit quicker in general. I'm really enjoying it. So
nice. Yeah, I gotta find some time to play some Civ because I love Civ.
yeah,
I was gonna come up with like some big elaborate reason, but that's just the reason.
yeah,
I like Civ.
yeah, it's good shit.
Davey, you're up next.
I've mostly been playing Gran Turismo 7. I'd like to hit the 100-hour mark before Monster Hunter Wilds come out in just over 2 weeks here. So, yeah, I've been mostly focusing on I guess they're like end game menu books. These are the ones that unlock after you complete like the first 40 or however much come with the original game. And yeah, these menu books are a lot more challenging, and they've forced me to get into an aspect of the game that I previously had no interest in. and but you kind of need to get into because these end game menu books are a lot harder, and that is tuning. Tuning is not really something that I'm interested in doing. It's just too technical. It's too finicky. But the good thing about Gran Turismo 7 is there's a really good tuning community online. So if you have a car and you want to optimize it for a specific event, chances are there's a lot of people online that will tell you exactly what to do. And I guess I didn't realize that Gran Turismo 7 had this level of back end customization, messing with like RPM ranges and limiters and like camber and all that kind of, like, I knew it was there, but I never really touched it. And you can literally make a car feel completely different. And it's kind of a testament to the physics engine that's in this game. But yeah, like I had this, I was doing the K Car Cup, which I think is menu book number 40. K cars are like, they're Japanese road cars that are extremely lightweight, but also very sporty. And car I went into just was not up to snuff. Did a little bit of tuning, added a couple modifications, and completely different car. So that's really cool. These end game menu books take a long time for me, anyways, to complete. Like, you really have to learn the cars, you really have to learn the tracks, and you really have to kind of be better at the game, and I'm enjoying that challenge with Gran Turismo 7. So yeah, it's been good. But I did jump on and try and play on Friday night, and so you guys probably know there's a world map in Gran Turismo 7, and the map has a total of 15 icons, 15. And the icons have many things. There's online races, there's a used car shop, there's a new car shop, there's a tuning shop, all these different things. And you require an online connection to play Gran Turismo 7. So when the PSN went down on Friday, I thought, okay, all I want to do is play menu books. So I jumped in, and there are 15 icons. When PSN is down, there is one icon that you can access when you don't have a connection to PSN, and that's the world circuits. But it's no good because I can't get into the cafe to pick a menu, any of that. Like, you'd think the only thing that would be offline would be the online modes, but nope, this game is basically unplayable when PSN is down, which is really annoying. Like, why I can't tune my car when I don't have an internet connection it doesn't make sense to me. But this is kind of the direction we're going with video games. So in my rage, I booted up Lost Planet on my Xbox 360 because there was no problems there. And yeah, I picked up this game, Lost Planet, just before Christmas. I only played it once, but I knew I needed to put a little bit more time in it. And it's just stupid fun. I found a mech that turned into a motorcycle, which is so cool. It's so Capcom, it's so Japanese and silly, and the game's story is stupid, and all the voice acting sucks, but it's just moment to moment just fun to play. And yeah,
you're really selling it here for me.
Yeah, I'm having a really good time with Lost Planet, and there's 2 more games too, so I'm sure I can find those 2 for $10 each. But yeah, last thing, I jumped into Helldivers 2 last night for the first time in about a month. And yeah, just as fun as it's always been. My only issue with Helldivers is I find they're like the drive to level up and play, like, there's just not enough there for me. Like, unlocking cosmetics and stuff like that is cool, but and the moment to moment gameplay is fun, but it's just, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm accomplishing a whole lot. But there's shovels in the game now for some reason. It seems like the developers are leading up to something. And you can pick up the shovels and attack enemies with it, and it does no damage, but it's funny and it's in keeping with the game. So yeah, that's it for me.
Nice. I haven't played Helldivers in a long time, and I don't know if I will again. But the only thing that ever made that, not the only thing, the game was fun by itself, but playing that game with friends was the most satisfying part of it. Is just the antics that happen during that game with the people you're playing with. So,
Big time.
Yeah. For me, I've played a little bit of some stuff here and there, but really the biggest thing I've played this past week has been Marvel Rivals. And part of that is because I wanted to. Part of that is because I'm addicted to it. And part of it was because I needed to get to a platinum standing in comp at some point during this year for one of my resolutions. And I am pleased to say, as of last night, I have entered into Platinum 3. I got into Platinum 3 and immediately stopped playing the game. One, it was time for me to go to bed. But two, I wanted to get the screenshot so I didn't jinx myself and not get there. So now that I'm there, I can go wherever I want. I can go down, I can go up. I don't want to go down, but I'll probably end up going down at some point. And I can confidently say I'm better than 79.39% of you out there, statistically.
You should put that on your resume.
I don't need a resume. I just got a job. I'm good to go. But yeah, so I did get into Plat 3, made sure to... I asked Poot, our record keeper, to update the document. Funnily enough, earlier in the week, it was Poot who I played with, who hasn't played as much, so he's a little bit lower rank. He just hasn't had as much time with the game. And I played with Poot, and because I was playing with Poot, I was still... When we were losing, which was a lot, not Poot's fault, just because of the matches go wide when you don't have the same level, so you have different matchmaking. But when I was playing with Poot, I'd lose the same amount of SR that I normally would of Elo. And when I would win, I would get less because I was playing with lower skilled players because I was in a lower bracket. So I went from gold 1 game off of platinum, all the way down to gold 3, 1 game off of bronze 1. That was not a fun night for me. But I worked my way back up and now hit platinum 3. And I think I'll take a break from it for a couple days before I jump back in. It would be cool to ascend a little higher. I'm still frustrated at the game for the lack of... I mean, this is every online game. When you want to be collaborative, there's just people who want to do their own thing and not pay any attention. But that does start going away a little bit more the higher up you get. Even in the top of gold, there's still people who are just like, I'm going to pick Punisher and left click. And that's all the more their brain thinks about with strategy. Fortunately, it does start to get a little better, though, the higher rank you get. So, loving Marvel Rivals. I'm happy to have fulfilled that part of my resolution. There was a point where I didn't think it was going to happen. And they actually announced that next week they were going to do a mid-season break and reset ranks and have to restart after that. And I was like, I got to get done before that. Well, community feedback. One day later, they reversed that decision, said they weren't going to do that anymore. They're still doing the mid-season, all the other stuff they were going to do, the refreshes of stuff, but they're not resetting ranks. So props to them for listening to the community because the community was not having it. Especially, everybody's like, I work a full-time job. I got kids. I get a couple hours a night to play this game. Now I got to work my way back up. So I appreciate that they took that feedback and decided not to do a mid-season reset. Excuse me.
Wasn't the resolution to maintain platinum for the entire year?
It was not, Dave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Poot?
I am 100% positive.
Oh, okay.
I am 100% positive.
Guys, I want to say, because everyone keeps crossing shit off their list conveniently, I did run away a bit. The video listeners saw I have started one of my resolutions, and that's to buy physical games.
Hey.
And I picked up Area 51 for the Xbox. I ran into this game so much, not on Xbox, on PS1. No, PS2. It would have been PS1, I think. On one of them, I rented this game a lot from the local grocery store that we have around here called Giant Eagle, and I loved it.
Is that not a light gun game?
No.
Oh, okay. Nice.
No. Yeah, and it says here, could be your next, or could be your second Halo. So that's how you know it's pretty good. And that is a quote from Electronic Gaming Monthly.
Wait, is that the one we've played in the arcade before?
I
There's a different Area 51.
There's an Area 51 light gun game in the arcade. Is it like a home version of that?
Can I see the back of it?
It could be the next Halo.
I don't think that's the same game I'm thinking of, but it's definitely still called Area 51.
Yeah, I remember this game, and I saw it, and it was 10 bones, and so I had to buy it. And get this, boys.
It's got a manual and everything, doesn't it?
Thick old
manual.
We got the registration card in this bitch.
You gotta send that in.
I know. the midway registration card, boys. You can't buy this shit anymore. But it does also have the manual, and the disc is in great shape. So there were actually two versions where I bought this. One that had kind of a beat box and no registration card, and it was $10. And then I saw this one a couple down, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if this one's any better. And it's notably better. It's in
Did
great
you buy that at
shape.
the toy show?
I did.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool. All right. As Ed said, I'm glad time proved the Area 51 as relevant as Halo is now.
It really did.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Don't forget you can join us over on Patreon at patreon.com/Handsomephantom, where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. I'm going to say that again, just in case you were zoned out and didn't hear it the first time. Join us on patreon.com/handsomephantom, where you can join us for as little as $1 a month. We appreciate it. Ad-free early access, all that kind of stuff. And Discord over at handsomephantom.com/Discord. Listen, if you haven't gotten there yet, you're probably smarter than me, but you should still go there if you think there might be something you're missing. You're right, there is. I think that's it, boys. I think that's it for the show.
That's it.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Should be the normal night. Should be Tuesday night. But we'll let you know in the Discord if anything changes. Until then, goodbye.